This man was executed today for one of the most horrifying crimes ever committed in Tennessee back in 1988. For nearly 4 decades, the case of Byron Lewis Black remained a grim chapter in Nashville's criminal history. In March 1988, at the age of 31, Black shot and killed his girlfriend, Angela Clay, 29, along with her 2 young daughters, 9-year-old LaToya and 6-year-old Lakeisha. The brutal triple homicide committed inside Angela's apartment sparked a lengthy legal battle that would culminate 37 years later in Black's execution. Black's relationship with Angela had been marred by violence. In December 1986, he shot and wounded Angela's estranged husband, Benny Clay, injuring him in the shoulder. For that attack, Black was sentenced to 2 years in prison, but under a work release program that allowed him out on weekends. On one of those weekends, Sunday, March the 27th, 1988, Black picked Angela up from her job as a lab technician at Vanderbilt University Hospital. Their relationship was strained, and Angela had reportedly been considering reconciling with Benny. Black, infuriated, had allegedly threatened to pull a Sterling Gray, referring to a local judge who had killed his wife and then himself after she left him. In the early hours of March the 28th, Black entered Angela's apartment at 1101 Wade Avenue, Apartment B, and executed all 3 occupants. Angela was found dead in her bed, shot in the head while she slept. LaToya was found beside her, shot in the neck and chest at close range, and died within minutes. Lakeisha, the youngest, was found in another room with gunshot wounds to her chest and pelvis. Forensic evidence showed that she tried to defend herself before being shot from 6 to 12 inches away. She died up to 30 minutes later from the chest wound. The bodies were discovered the next evening, on March 28th, after concerned relatives called the police. By then, Black had already returned to the county jail at 5 p.m. that Monday, several hours before the bodies were found. He initially denied any involvement and gave conflicting accounts, first claiming he had dropped Angela and the girls off at her mother's home, then later telling a different version with his attorney present, saying he had gone to the apartment, found the bodies, and fled in a panic. Ballistics evidence became the turning point. The bullets recovered from the victims matched the one Black had fired at Benny Clay 2 years earlier. That forensic link led to Black's arrest on April 21st, 1988, and he was formally charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Jury selection began in February 1989. Black's defense attempted to halt the trial by arguing that he was mentally incompetent, but the case moved forward. On March 8, 1989, a Davidson County jury found Black guilty on all 3 counts. The verdict was announced on what would have been Lakeisha's 7th birthday, a moment her father, Benny, called the best birthday gift for his youngest daughter. During sentencing, the prosecution sought the death penalty. On March 10, 1989, Judge Walter Kurtz sentenced Black to death by electrocution for the murder of Lakeisha Clay, following the jury's unanimous recommendation. However, the jury could not agree on the death penalty for the murders of Angela and LaToya, so the judge imposed 2 consecutive life sentences for those counts, along with an additional 15 years for burglary and 2 5-year terms for firearms violations. Over the next several decades, Black remained on death row as he exhausted every appeal. His case became more complex due to mental health issues. Experts diagnosed Black with intellectual disabilities, including fetal alcohol syndrome, lead exposure during childhood, and possible brain damage from playing football. All professionals who evaluated him, including the state's own expert, concluded that Black met the criteria for intellectual disability. Nevertheless, the courts rejected his appeals on procedural grounds. In later years, Black's health declined severely. By the age of 69, he was confined to a wheelchair and suffered from dementia, kidney failure, congestive heart failure, and other chronic conditions. In May 2024, doctors implanted a cardioverter defibrillator, a device that functions both as a pacemaker and emergency shock unit. On August 5, 2025, after Tennessee Governor Bill Lee denied clemency and the U.S. Supreme Court rejected his final appeals, Byron Lewis Black was scheduled to die by lethal injection at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. His execution was set for 10 a.m. Central Time. His final meal was mushroom and sausage pizza, donuts, and butter pecan ice cream. He had no official last words. However, according to witnesses, shortly after the injection began, Black turned to a spiritual advisor in the room and whispered, "This hurts a lot." Black was officially pronounced dead at 10:43 a.m. Central Time, becoming the 28th person executed in the United States in 2025.